question? Why do artists fight each other and hate each other? Do you know the answer? Me neither. But we can check it out together. Why do painters declare comics to be non-art, or illustrators laugh at designers, or designers mock fine art? Why is it like that? Why were digital artists ridiculed for decades, and why does the fierce conflict and hatred of our time now explode precisely against AI art and software tools? For me, the honest, though uncomfortable answer is it is rarely about art. It is about fear, status, and identity. For many people, art is not simply an activity. No, art is, for a lot of people, self-perception. I am a painter. I am an illustrator. I am designer. When this category is attacked, it does not feel like criticism of the work, but like an attack on one's own existence and ego. And that ego of the person who feels criticized explodes like an angry bird. That is exactly why debates and discussions in the art world escalate so quickly and become hateful, dismissive, and emotionally charged. You don't believe it? You don't have to, but we can take a look at history. I think that makes this very clear. This pattern is anything than new. Let's take a short journey through time. Becomes obvious very quickly. Between roughly 1860 and 1890, one of the most famous art conflicts of modern history raged. Official art academies, especially the Salon de Paris, decided what counted as real art and what did not. The Impressionists failed this test one after another. Claude Monet, Edouard Manet, Pierre-Auguste Renoir, and Edgar Degas were mocked, hated, and laughed at as being incompetent. Their works were considered unfinished, mere sketches lacking technical mastery or moral depth. In 1863, the wave of rejection reached its peak. So many artworks were rejected that Emperor Napoleon III approved the Salon de Refus, the Salon of Rejected. The accusation sounds like a monotonous repeating mantra. These are not paintings. This is dilettantism. This is not art, and stuff like that, they said. Today, however, exactly these once-hated works hang in the most prestigious museums in the world. Academic paintings, once celebrated, is now mainly historical study material. Nothing more, nothing less. But let's keep traveling through time. Fasten your seatbelts, please. There's more to come. As early as around 1840, the next major conflict began. Photography emerged and challenged painting centuries. Old monopoly on representation. Painters and art theorists reacted with open rejections and renewed hatred. Photographers were seen as mere technicians, simple craftsmen without creative achievement or spirit. Charles Baudelaire expressed his particularly sharply in 1859, I think, when he called photography the mortal enemy of art. His core argument was roughly this: where a machine reproduces reality, no human expression can arise. The familiar accusations followed once again. No creativity, just technology, no personal handwriting. And today photography is an integral part of museums, galleries, and art universities worldwide, a special form of art and expression. But let's keep looking around. This was far from everything. At the beginning of the 20th century, roughly between 1900 and 1930, hatred and rejection were directed at the next generation. Expressionism, Dadaism, and Surrealism deliberately broke existing forms. The reaction were intense and far away from positive. Expressionists were considered sick and ill. Dadaists, destroyers of art. The accusation was no longer mere lack of skill, but cultural decay. The darkest climax followed in 1937 with the Nazi exhibition Degeneration or Degenerate Art, in which modern works were publicly defamed. They were described as destructive of beauty or destruction of beauty, provocation instead of skill, or stuff like decline of culture, and so on and so on. These buzzwords sound frighteningly familiar, don't you think? Times repeat themselves. But let's continue our journey. Between the 1920s and the 1980s, the evaluation shifted to illustration, anime, and comics. They were ridiculed and dismissed as mass products, trivial, mere entertainment without added value. In the United States, comics were even temporarily classified as harmful to the teenagers. Can anyone still imagine that today? Art academies categorically rejected illustration for really a long time. Too commercial. It's too simple. That is no art. Again, these words went around. Today, graphic novels like the artist Art Spiegelman hang in museums and are academically analyzed for depth and meaning. That's how time evolved and changed, right? From 1950 to the 90s, graphic design and software like Photoshop came under attack. Artists accused designers of being mere service providers. Art, they claimed, had to be purposeless, while design was, in their opinion, just commercial, money-making, and the familiar propaganda mantras followed. It's just commissioned work. Come on, as if nobody had ever before done that. It has no depth. Okay, as if all old works were deep, really? It depends on the client. Come on, just like almost all art created for the money. Today, design shapes our visual culture more than many classical art forms. But this wasn't the last art debate. The time journey continues. Are you ready? With the rise of digital tools between 1990 and 2010, the same old game repeats itself. Almost as if people were simply looking for something new to hate, like a soap opera. Digital artists were labeled as cheaters. The button became the symbol of alleged incompetence. The complaint sounds exactly like the old cliche. Digital art is not real art. It's far too easy. Technology replaces skills. Museums hesitated for a long time to exhibit digital works, but today Digital art is a standard in industry, in the art world, and in museums. And who guess what is now the big enemy these days, nowadays? And suddenly we arrive in the present. Since around 2020, as artificial technology advanced, frustration, hatred, and complaining from nearly all art disciplines have focused on one new target: AI art. Painters, illustrators, designers, comic, anime artists, modern artists, digital artists, everybody unites in resistance and rebellion because they see their income slipping away. Once again, they feel threatened. Their egos are running at full speed. And once again, the accusations are strikingly familiar. It's no art. It has no creativity. AI destroys art and jobs. Oh, come on. Historically, these debates mirror the photography debates of the 19th century almost one-to-one, just louder and more emotional. Art should always reflect society. If it fails to do so, it has missed its purpose. And in a technological age, this must also be visible in art. After all, we no longer live in the Middle Ages. History shows a clear fact-based theme. A new technology appears. Established artists lose exclusivity and feel their ego and identity threatened. The new form is dismissed as not real art. It is gradually integrated into the art world, and then the new cycle repeats. The new generation and new technology are attacked, and so on and so on. A spiral, a fractal, the same pattern over and over and over and over again. No art form accepted today was welcomed and celebrated at its birth at the beginning. The conflict is not about quality, but about power and identity. Every new art form shifts market tension and the much coveted influence. What once required effort becomes more easy and more accessible, and that creates fear. Not because the new art is worse, but because it challenges existing power structures and open new possibilities. In the art world, a stubborn myth persists. The most you suffer, the more authentic your art is. Come on. From this arise judgments such as oil over digital, hand over machine, struggle over efficiency. But suffering is not a quality marker. It is merely a story used to defend status quo. Many disciplines guard an invisible gate. Art is only art if it is analog, drawing, conceptual, or exclusively human. This is not an objective judgment of quality. It is exclusion born from insecurity. A brush does not create art. A tablet does not create art. An algorithm does not either. Art arises from ideas, meaning, emotions, and resonance. The tool is secondary and always remains just that, a tool, not the creator. You are not your tool. Okay? One thing stands out. Great artists rarely fight publicly. They have nothing to defend. The loudest hatred usually comes from fear of being replaceable, stagnating identity, and a lack of inner security. Separating identity from technique would be a start. Not, I am my style, but my style is a tool. Historical awareness diffuses many debates. Every new art form was attacked. The focus should shift back to content, not origin. The future belongs to hybrid thinkings, artists who paints and work digitally, draw and use maybe AI, think and experiment. No ranking system, no hierarchies, just different forms of expression. If criticism is necessary, it should address meaning or symbolism, not the tool. Question the human intention, the mindset, the morality, but not the tool itself. Whoever attacks other art forms rarely defends art itself. Most often, they are defending their own insecurity. Art has always changed over time, and that should be acknowledged. It is not art to tear other art down or to block possibilities. Art grows through inspiration and exchange. And never forget, art's task is to reflect society. If it fails to do so, it ceases to be art. In an increasingly technological world, this also belongs to art, even if it does not match personal tastes. Instead of criticizing technology alone, perhaps we should question many other problematic symbols and morally questionable artists who are still celebrated today. But that is the human abyss. That is another topic entirely. So, what are your thoughts on that topic? I would appreciate it from the bottom of my heart if you let me know your thoughts down below. And I wish you a beautiful day.